In-laws. La Belnevis famille. Amusing anecdotes which poke fun at the foibles of brothers-in-law fly in the face of my uplifting personal and positive experience. From the very start of my acquaintance with all four, our relationships have been sound, supportive, and gratifying. That I can confirm this after 6 years of marriage to their sister is an accomplishment that not only speaks of the family's integrity, but as well to my remarkable good fortune. Fraternity, as the French discovered in their struggle for a democratic paradigm, is a linchpin in any program dedicated to liberty and equality, such as we are in the US in the process of recognizing, reimagining, and improving. My sole justification for singling out this facet of my admiration for the French, and it is always unfair to compare, is that the ideal of a brotherhood of humanity is not as prominent in the lexicon of American political philosophy. It is therefore unsurprising that in American English, the idea of becoming a brother-in-law to 5 individuals, as happened to me in the early 60s, suggests an involuntary act, the commission of which is coerced by our Constitution. This denies the pleasure of a welcoming and expanding family dynamic. The French translation of brothers-in-law are les beaux freres, which indicates the positive, reciprocal welcoming into a new fraternal community. Les beaux freres portends a powerful first step on a pleasurable journey. In that ethos, the new branch is called La Belle Famille, and one's new parents-in-law are flatteringly referred to as mes beaux parents, my beautiful parents. After all, it should be a carnivalesque moment, with enough bows and bells to make any party swing and sway the night away. There is something stunning as well about the bell in my wife's family name, Belnevis or Balnevis, which again, not surprisingly, based upon the literature and the etymology, is probably Franco-Scottish in origin. In 1295, the Old Alliance was built upon Scotland's and France's shared interests in controlling England's aggressive expansion plans. This military and diplomatic alliance brought obvious benefits to the ordinary Scots through jobs as mercenaries in France's armies, and consequently for entertainment, a steady supply of fine French wines. We heard of the foul language used in Shakespeare's Henry V at the Battle of Agincourt in 1450. The fact is, however, that it was sheer disaster for the French. So, in desperation, the Dauphin turned to the Scots, England's close traditional enemy, for help, and 12,000 Scots eagerly boarded ships bound for France and the Battle of the Vosges, in which the English, in 1421, were defeated and Henry V's brother, Thomas, Duke of Clarence, was killed. By virtue of this special relationship, Scottish merchants won the privilege of selecting the finest wines for themselves. Wine barrels landed at the port of Leith were reserved for the palates of the higher-up Highlanders. Commoners were content to drink whiskey or beer. I have known Glenn longer than any other member of the Belnevis clan. Because of a felicitous coincidence, he was my brother in the scouting fraternity, and we met for the first time and travelled to the Jamboree at Sutton Coldfield in the United Kingdom in 1957. Unfortunately, the Reina del Pacifica struck a coral reef on our departure from Bermuda. The threatened imminence of catastrophe seemed to have solidified the bonds between fellow travellers suffering from the identical near-death and destruction trauma. Both Monica and the family and her brother, Glenn, are fascinated by the presence of Normandy and the Vikings in the history of the Balnevises. The Normans were a group of people that originated in Normandy, France, and were descendants of Viking settlers in the 9th and 10th centuries. The first family to use the name Balnaves lived among the ancient Scottish people called the Picts. They were from the lands of the Balnaves in the parish of Kinnell, Angus, in Scotland, where a manor existed until the 18th century. There still is a small farm called Balnaves. Mes beaux frères, I was, however, a faithful supporter of my brothers-in-law, and was so influenced because I recognized the extent to which their individual strengths and aspirations were the real motivators of their successes en route to the final destination and the accomplishments of arriving at that destination. I was teeming with pride, and in similar measure, so was my bride. But what of the brothers-in-law as ascendants? A Balnaves born in Scotland travelled to Jamaica to make his fortune. He was David Balnaves, a planter, and the son of Henry, the second Edward, born in 1714. And he married Helen Campbell, daughter of John Campbell, the sixth Laird of Glenlyon. David married and begat Charles Balnaves, who begat the first Thomas Balnaves, and he in turn begat the second Thomas Balnaves. And along with Elizabeth Cowan, they produced Samuel Radwick Balnaves, born in 1876 in St. Anne, Jamaica. He is the fourth great-grandfather of Monica and Glenn. Samuel was baptized at the Wesleyan Methodist Church at Keith in St. Anne. Samuel married Jeanette Victoria Campbell on the 29th of August 1907 in Belfield, St. Mary. Glenroy Milton Balnaves was born on the 1st of October 1942 at Port Maria Hospital. Although we were fellow travelers to the World Scout Jamboree, I had no knowledge of his family and went directly to university after my return to Jamaica. When I met Monica in 1963, I realized that she was Glenroy's, my brother in scouting's, only sister. On leaving school, Glenn worked with a bank, but soon left to pursue higher education in the sciences at Howard University. He returned and worked as a drug representative, and because of his sterling reputation, was employed by Esso Jamaica. Soon after, I was recruited to fill the position of Employee Relations Manager and Internal Legal Counsel. Glenn became the star performer of Esso's industrial sales team. But he migrated with his family to Chicago in the late 1970s. I was honored to have Glenn working at Esso, and my value was perhaps enhanced by his exemplary contribution. He epitomized, whether or not he was my beau-frère, the best in work ethic. He and his wife June continue to reflect the same positivity. From my angle, he is a beau-frère beyond compare. Glenn's younger brother, who is deceased, was Chester Linville Balnaves, born at Port Maria Hospital, St. Mary, on March 19, 1944. He attended as a boarder the York Castle High School, and after completing sixth form, took up the post as manager of Kingston Wharves. Brainy, competent, industrious, and a farmer by nature, he resigned his first job to operate his own dairy farm at Winesbury in Clarendon. He married Greta Champagny, and the union produced 3 sons. My children were always captivated by visiting Winesbury, and they were learnt and experienced something special, it would seem, on each visit. It was therefore a heartfelt loss for our family when he passed, and I can recall my cautious experimentation, chasing white overproof rum with fresh cow's milk, his recipe. George Aston Bell Navis was born at the Port Maria Hospital on the 21st of August 1947. George was working at Price Waterhouse when Monica and I returned after completing my studies and called to the bar. George has a special place because of our careers, make us brothers-in-law twice over. Though he was on the way to become an accountant, he took an alternative which matched his love of precision and his natural talents. So he applied for and was awarded one of the scholarships to pursue a degree in law at the new Faculty of Law at UWI, and was among the first batch of graduates. His career, which included a senior lectureship and head of the Legal Aid Division, was a dream come true. The fourth brother-in-law, who also performed exceptionally well in his chosen field of endeavour, is the youngest by far. Philip Michael Ben Nevis was born on May 23, 1957, in Onotabay, St. Mary, and he is the youngest of my esteemed beaux freres. Ambitious and focused on being a superior sales representative, he embraced the fullness of a youthful life. He is a constant reminder to me that, properly understood, age and aging are just numbers. I have always perceived him as a real and true sibling, and his charisma was very infectious. His first job was in the banking sector, but his dream was to become Jamaica's champion salesman. He was employed to Grace Kennedy, one of the most successful commercial trade and shipping companies in Jamaica, and he excelled. He also opened his own supermarket. These tales of my four brothers-in-law unveil une immense fraternité.